All right, well, let's get started, shall we? Thanks everybody for joining us. Welcome. My name is Whitney, and I will be your facilitator for tonight's meeting. I'm going to review a few logistics, and then we will hear from the project team before ending with some time for you to ask questions and the panelists to provide answers. There are a few things to keep in mind that will make your experience easier when using the Zoom webinar platform. Participants are automatically muted, and we'll have a few poll questions throughout our presentation, and we will reserve time at the end for questions. Throughout the event, if you have questions for the project team, please type them into the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. If you would like to see English captions, you can click the CC button. Today, we are providing live Spanish and Mandarin interpretation for this meeting. This means we'll be presenting slowly to leave time for interpretation. If you would like to participate in Spanish or Mandarin, you can click on the interpretation button on your control panel and select Spanish or Mandarin as the language you'd like to hear. We are recording this webinar to add to our project website so that those who are not able to join us today can view the presentation later. The recording will be posted on the city's website. We will begin recording now. All set? And with that, I will introduce our team. Today, we are joined by Jack Bartman, who's the city project manager for the City of Bothell. We're also joined by Ross French, the project manager with WSP. My name is Whitney Rierick, I'm your facilitator. And we also have Daniel Ruiz, our Spanish interpreter, and Yuran Wang, interpreter of Mandarin. And let's get started with you, Jack.
Great, thanks. As Whitney said, my name is Jack Bartman. I am the project manager for the City of Bothell. Today, we're going to share an overview of the Bothell Way Improvement Project. We are very early in the planning and design process for this project, and today is the first of many opportunities for you to ask and answer questions and provide input. Bothell Way has been an important connection from Seattle to Everett and points north for many years. Bothell Way is an important north-south connection between Snohomish and King counties. It links Canyon Park to downtown Bothell and Northgate and Kirkland, UW Bothell, and many area communities. There are regional centers for employment and housing, and they are growing. This map shows downtown Bothell, Canyon Park, and how this project will improve the connection between them. The project will improve Bothell Way between Reeder Way, just north of downtown Bothell, and 240th Street Southeast to the north. The City of Bothell has made downtown safer for shoppers and residents by adding sidewalks, signage, and bike lanes. We hope to do the same for the residents and businesses of this section of Bothell Way too. And now I'm going to hand this off to our consultant project manager, Ross French, to update you on the current situation.
Ross, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Just to give a little background, I'm Ross French, project manager from WSP. In 2018, there were 14,900 daily car trips along this section of Bothell Way, and that number is projected to grow to 21,000 in 2035, or a 40% increase. In addition, the combined campus enrollment of University of Washington Bothell and Cascadia College in the area has over 10,000 students. UW Bothell is the 4th fastest growing 4-year college in the nation. It expects it to increase its enrollment by 40%. This means 14,000 students and thousands of faculty and staff that are making regular trips to and from the campus. The road is often congested and is not meeting current service standards. Canyon Park jobs are expected to grow 40% in the next 20 years as well, and the number of households in the area will likely double. Downtown Bothell is expected to add thousands more households in coming decades too. This section of Bothell Way is a missing link. It's a missing link for people walking, running, or rolling between downtown Bothell and shopping and neighborhoods to the north. When Bothell Way was built, there were few homes along this stretch. Now there are hundreds of households, with more going in. There are plenty of services along Bothell Way, from restaurants to grocery stores, but there's no safe way to walk to and from these businesses. You can see from these images that Canyon Park and downtown Bothell have infrastructure for people walking or cycling. It's time to update the portion of Bothell Way that connects these sections. Whitney, over to you.
Thank you, Ross. I'm going to give our interpreters just a moment to catch up. All set? Okay, so it's time for our first poll question. We would like to know more about how you use this stretch of Bothell Way. You may select more than one option. And as a reminder, you can feel free to drop questions into the Q&A box on your screen at any time, and we'll answer the questions at the end of this presentation. Answers are rolling in. See, we've got people who live nearby. We've got quite a few commuters and shoppers, and a couple of business owners too. Okay, all set? Thanks for participating, everybody. Looks like 89% of you live near Bothell Way, and 2/3 of you commute through the corridor, 3/4 shop there, and 10% own a business there. Thanks for the info. It's great to see so much diversity in the usage there. Let's send it back to Ross to continue the presentation.
Thanks, Whitney. You may ask yourself, why are we working on this section of a road that's already moving thousands of commuters every day? And the reason is because there are gaps and bottlenecks. Other sections of Bothell Way currently have as many as 5 lanes, and this section narrows to 2 lanes. As a result, traffic backs up and causes delays. By adding a center turn lane, bike paths, and sidewalks, we hope to reduce the number of collisions considerably. If you've walked or biked along this stretch, you probably noticed that it doesn't have the best sidewalks. In fact, sidewalks come and go. Here's a place where the sidewalk just ends. The shoulder is also very narrow and close to car traffic. In some areas, it can be dangerous. This project will provide safer conditions for cyclists and drivers by separating vehicles from people biking and walking. We hope to add other safety measures like crosswalks, street lighting, and reflective lane markings and street symbols. In downtown Bothell, there are safe bike lanes that are separated from Bothell Way. These are missing from this section of the road. Cars also go very fast here, typically, making it unsafe for people walking and biking.
Thank you, Ross. Just going to give a pause a little bit here for our interpreters. Okay. It's time for our second poll question, which is, when you drive this section of Bothell Way, have you witnessed collisions or close calls? If so, feel free to enter the location. So we have a yes or no question. And then if you would like to add where you might have seen a close call or you had a close call, feel free to enter that. You should have the poll on your screen now. So again, taking a poll of our participants here. Asking about collisions or close calls on this section of Bothell Way. Looks like we had about 2/3 have seen collisions or close calls. And thanks for all of you, those of you who have answered. Thanks so much. Let's send it back to Ross. Oh,
Off mute again. Bothell Way is an important corridor for our regional transit system. Currently, this section of Bothell Way has one route, 105, and cars often slow down the buses. Another goal of this project is to add BRT, or bus rapid transit. BRT is a bus system that acts somewhat like a train. It comes more frequently and reliably than other buses and allows riders to enter anywhere along the bus. BRT is a very efficient way of moving a lot of people along a major transit route. North of this project, the Community Transit Swift Green Line BRT runs from the Seaway Transit Center to Canyon Park Park and Ride. It runs every 10 minutes on weekdays and every 15 minutes on weekends, connecting Everett, Mill Creek, and Bothell. As part of this project, we plan to extend the Swift line to downtown Bothell, upgrade signals and lane markings to help buses move through traffic and make commutes better for all users. The number of businesses along this stretch has grown as well in recent years, and our plans for the project will make it easier for customers to access them. The project will add a center turn lane, making it easier for cars turning into businesses to do so safely. Added sidewalks and bike lanes will make it safer for all shoppers, regardless of how they get from their homes to area businesses. The lower image here shows power poles in the way of walkers and drivers. Our current plans will put these power lines and poles underground. Well, the pole's not underground, but the line's underground, making business access easier. And we have one more poll question for you.
thank you, Ross. So we know that a lot of you live and shop nearby. Do you ever try to walk from your home or from one store to another, but are worried about your safety? Please click on the poll answer. And again, feel free to add details. Thank you for participating. And this might be walking, biking, heck, skateboarding, if you use a wheelchair or a scooter. Maybe you just want to go for a walk. Are there places you don't feel safe getting to? And it looks like 3/4 are avoiding this section of Bothell Way because there isn't a safe way to get through that area. Okay, Thanks for participating. And as a reminder, if you have any questions during the presentation, please enter them into the Q&A and we will answer them live at the end of this presentation. Back to Ross.
Thanks, Whitney. The roadway currently lacks adequate drainage in many areas, and polluted water runs off into nearby wetlands and waterways. Horse Creek also runs under the roadway in a number of locations, and fish are unable to migrate through this area. The Bothell Way Improvement Project will improve the natural environment by protecting nearby wetlands, eliminating fish barriers, and managing stormwater to prevent polluted water from running into nearby waterways. We're looking at ways to improve these culverts and make them passageways not just for fish, but also local wildlife, so they don't need to cross the busy Bothell Way above. Here's a timeline for the project. As I mentioned, we're early in the project. We'll continue gathering public input, travel and environmental data, and use this to create draft designs. There will be 2 more workshops for the public, one on March 23rd and one later this spring. We'll share the final concepts with you at an online open house, likely in May. This summer, we'll begin the design process. From there, we'll work to secure the land and permits we need to build the project. We expect to begin construction in late 2025.
All right, thank you, Ross. So now we'd like to get into the Q&A section, but I'm going to have a quick pause so that our interpreters can translate any in-language questions. And as a reminder, during the rest of the presentation, everybody is welcome to type a question into the Q&A box. So, okay. So, Jack, can you see our questions here? We have a question from Dean Johnson.
Yes.
And I'll just go ahead and read this out loud for anybody who might not be able to see the screen. How's that? Sometimes we get phone-in participants. The King County GIS map shows the road passing through landslide hazard and erosion areas. What is being done to ensure the long-time safety of the hillside?
As we design this project, we are doing a geological assessment of the project, and all the side slopes will be engineered. We're also going to be building a number of retaining walls and cut walls. And so that is going to be heavily reviewed as we build this road. Your second question is, are we willing to purchase long-term landslide liability policy to protect the homeowners? I don't have a good answer for you right now. I can tell you that that is not typically a thing that we do. But if the failure is involved with a civil project or a civil roadway, then there's a process to go through claims to address that. But we're going to have to talk about that later.
Okay. David is asking about businesses that use this road.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I understand the question. We are going to provide a center turn lane to make sure that businesses have access from everywhere that they have access now. And we're going to improve access so that businesses will be able to be accessed from both directions of the roadway.
Thank you. For those of you who couldn't submit poll answers but type them into the box, we will include that, what you typed in our report. So that won't get lost. Just want to let everybody know. Sarah says she's twice walked all the way from downtown to the QFC, and everywhere the sidewalk is missing feels dangerous. You want to address the sidewalks?
Well, yeah, that's one of the reasons that, I mean, this is a multimodal project. We are building this project to provide missing links for bicycle lanes, sidewalks, and even transit that isn't there now. So we are looking to connect the north and south parts of Bothell with this project. So it will be a lot better when this project is done for pedestrians and bicyclists.
We had a follow-up question with that. What is the timeline for the sidewalks?
The sidewalks are going to be built with the whole project. So as was shown on the slide at the last part of it, this is going to be a 3-phase project. And the north and south parts of the roadway will be built. Oh, there we go. The north and south project parts of the project will be built starting at the end of 2025 into 2026. Phase 3 construction is going to happen after that, probably closer to 2028, 2029, somewhere in that area.
Okay. Warren and Connie are wondering, did I understand correctly? There won't be a second traffic lane in both directions added, only a turning lane? So it sounds like 2 lanes on both sides, or how will that?
Yeah, this will be a 4 to 5 lane project. So there will be 2 lanes in either direction, just like there is north of this project and south of this project. And then there'll be a left turn lane wherever there is something that needs to be accessed. So there will be 5 total lanes on this project.
Okay. Dean is wondering about power outages that have occurred to lines that are planning to be put underground. Is that something we know anything about at this point? Power outages?
I do not know about power outages. I can tell you that typically there are a lot fewer power outages with lines that are put underground. And this project is going to be putting the power lines underground along this area. So that should make power outages due to windfall trees onto power lines less common.
Okay. And returning to pedestrians and pedestrian safety and bicycle safety, Dom's pointing out that we're very early in the project and don't want to see an accident happen before those get put in. Are there any short-term improvements, he's wondering, lights, reflectors or such, that can be made to the road, I assume, to make it safer for pedestrians and cyclists before the improvements are made?
That is not part of this project. That is something that we certainly can talk about as a normal operations involvement project, normal operations occurrence on this road. If Dom could contact me after this, we can talk about what his ideas are and hook him up with the right people to see if there's something that can be done.
Okay, and we'll have your email address posted in the last slide too. And here's a question about curves and lighting.
Yes.
Will you be removing curves, and what about lighting?
We will not be removing the curves. It actually, to do so, if you notice, the road is sort of trapped between Horse Creek and some steep slopes, and that's why the curves are the way that they are. And so we did look at flattening some of those curves, and it would just to address the question that was brought up before, it would cut into some pretty steep slopes and actually make that a very expensive and not all that beneficial feature of the project. But I can tell you that we are going to be improving lighting all through the corridor up to an urban standard. So it will be quite a bit more illuminated.
Okay, thank you. David has a question about buses. It says transit buses block traffic as they load north in the current configuration. Do you plan on expanding the pull-off areas to allow the buses to pull off away from traffic?
The actual bus pullouts are something that has fallen out of favor because then the buses have trouble getting back into traffic. We will be providing 2 lanes in either direction though, so that buses will not be blocking traffic as they travel north and south.
And another car traffic related question. Sarah asks, can you help us understand the reason for expanding the number of car lanes? What if we directed those resources towards enhanced sidewalks, bus lanes, and transit lanes?
Well, we are putting in sidewalks, bike lanes, and the second lane is to greatly improve the ability of transit to go up and down the road. In fact, that second lane that we're adding is going to be what allows the green line to get from Everett down to downtown Bothell and to the university. So why are we not restricting cars from the second lane that we're adding, I guess would be the more appropriate question. And it's because we also need that capacity for just the congestion level that's projected to come with the increased jobs and housing on the corridor.
Okay. We have a question about property owners. If you own a property along the project, is there someone they can talk to about how it will affect their access and property?
Yes, you can certainly talk to me about it. And again, my email will be at the end of this. It's also on the website. I can tell you that right now we don't have exact answers, and I know that that's frustrating, but we are just now developing exactly what this road is going to look like and exactly where it's going to be. And so I can tell you that there are going to be 5 lanes through here. There's going to be protected bike lanes and there's going to be sidewalks. And so we know the general width of the road. What we don't know is we know that the road is going to follow basically where the road is now, but we don't know if we're widening to the right or to the left or in both directions. And it's very much going to depend on a balance between how it affects the current landowners, how it affects environmentally protected areas like the creeks and the wetlands, and also the steep slopes that we've got to deal with through this corridor. So we will have better answers for you in the coming months. But I'm happy to share with you what we know at this time, and I can get together with you and look at your particular property and share what we know and what we don't and when we will know it.
Okay. And a question about the wildlife passage. It will, this person, Jean, is asking, this will be under the road, correct? Not over the road.
Yes. The fish passage corridors are actually quite wide, and they provide, they're wide enough so that the stream that goes under the road doesn't touch the sides of the culvert except during very high flows. So normally there will be streamside banks that can be used by critters and creepy crawlies that don't swim.
Okay. Let's see. I have a question about the phases. I can go back to this.
Yeah, can you go back to that?
Yeah.
I think there's
Sorry, to the map.
Yep.
Yeah, go back to that map.
Or the, oops. That one. Is this the one? So there's your phase 1, 2, and 3.
Yep. So phase 1 is the area that's still sort of downtownish. Phase 2 is the area between 240th and the Snohomish County line. That's right now pretty much dominated by the Safeway development and goes down south past Lake Pleasant. And phase 3 is the more rural section in the middle.
Okay. And the timing of that, is that shown in our?
Yeah, so phase 1 and 2 will be
2025.
2025, and phase 3 more like 2026. It'll start probably in like October, November, December of 2025. Be built in 2026 and 2027. And then phase 3 will start a couple of years after that.
Okay. I had a couple questions about school buses, school bus load zones. Will you be looking at school bus loading zones? And I think that was the main question. And David also, who's asking the question, also has offered to meet with you on the plans too, because they move 40+ buses twice a day on this section of road, he says.
Sure,
So,
and I'd love to meet with you and discuss. We have not specifically discussed school load zones at this point. I would very much be interested in talking to you to make sure that we provide whatever infrastructure we need to make sure that the kids are safe when they get on and off the bus.
terrific. And Karsten is asking about the turn lane, the center turn lane. Will it be the entire length of this section? And he's wondering about reducing the asphaltic surfacing, the asphalt surfacing as much as possible. Asphaltic. Thank you. I just learned it. Asphaltic.
There will, in phase 3, there is a length of section that does not need a center turn lane, and we will not be providing one there.
And that's that middle section, the more rural section.
Yes, and it all depends on what access there is now and what access we see being developed in the future. And so if there is access needed, there will be a center lane provided, but there is a good chunk of phase 3 that does not apply. So there will not be.
Okay. Aditi asks, will you prioritize constructing sidewalks in the areas where there are very narrow shoulders? For example, near Safeway. That would help residents safely walk to the grocery store.
Well, if you're asking if we can prioritize sidewalks by perhaps building them first, the answer is no. The road's going to have to be built all at the same time. We need the full width of the road in order to do that. We need to get through our environmental process in order to do that. But I can tell you that the sidewalks up by Safeway are, they're in phase 2. So they're one of the first parts of the project that we will be building.
Terrific, thank you. And related to sidewalks, Sivarisi is asking, our community doesn't have sidewalks, but has a wooden walkway near the Horse Creek stream. Will the sidewalks replace the slippery boardwalk?
Yes.
Okay. That was an easy to answer one.
Yeah, the boardwalk is actually maintained by the homeowners association there. And we still have to have some discussions with them about whether they're going to maintain the boardwalk after there's a sidewalk there. But we will definitely be putting a sidewalk along the road and a bike lane along the road in that location. So you will not have to use the boardwalk if you don't want to.
Paula is asking about project funding. Is the project funded in full or through what phase?
The project is not completely funded. We are working through various grants to get this project funded. We have secured all of the funding to do the design of the project. We have secured the funding to do the right-of-way purchases in phase 1 and phase 2. And actually right now we are applying for funding to do construction in phase 1 and phase 2. The way that the funding works, we have to basically be in a phase before we can apply for the next phase. And so we will be doing that over the next several years, but this project has ranked very highly in the scoring criteria for those grants. So we're very confident, or we're quite confident that we'll be able to fund the project as we go forward.
Okay. Ellen is asking, and this might be, well, she's asking about signs. So what is the possibility of adding signs that ask cars on either side of the road to move for pedestrians in the near future? She walks a lot and cars drive too close. So you mentioned that the project is not going to address current problems in the, that happened before the project really starts construction. So, but is that something she could contact you about, maybe send you?
Yeah, please please contact me about that. I would have to talk to our traffic engineer to see what he thinks about that. I don't have a good answer for that.
Okay. We have a couple more comments about temporary solutions would be great. So yeah, I guess we'll stay focused on the project for this one, but it sounds like you're open to talking about temporary solutions. This person says they've been personally hit many times while running, almost hit. On the plus side, I run significantly faster in this area to preserve my life. So sorry to hear that, but I guess there's a tiny silver lining. Sarah is saying, thanks for answering the question about the lanes. If the second new lane gets open to cars as well as buses, wouldn't this just encourage more cars to show up on the road?
There will be more cars showing up on the road just because we're going to be having more housing and more businesses that show up. But this project is also going to hopefully encourage people to get out of their cars, because right now there is no way to get, well, unless you're brave like Phil and run fast, there's no safe way to get up and down this corridor. So this project will give people options and allow non-motorized vehicle and transit to be a lot more effective in this corridor.
Thank you. A question from Sarah about bike lanes. Will they be protected bike lanes, or how will the protected bike lanes be protected? Simple pylons or otherwise separated from the road? Do you have a feel for that?
These will absolutely be protected bike lanes. We're still going through the selection process and the design process to figure out exactly how that's going to happen. There will either be, if they're on the same level as the road, there will be a physical barrier of some sort, a curb or a small median in between the road and the bicycle lane. Or we're also looking very seriously at putting the bike lane up on the same level as the sidewalk. So the bike lane and the sidewalk would be next to each other on the other side of the planting strip from the cars.
And a follow-up question from Phil about that. Will the bike lane be on one side or both sides?
No, the bike lane will be on both sides.
Okay. Thank you. Phil is also asking, have you considered reorganizing the phases? Seems that phase 1 and 2 already have some sort of sidewalk, just not much. Phase 3 is not only narrow, but fast, but also has 0 sidewalks on either side.
We've organized the phases just for how the road will operate and what would be benefited by it. It doesn't actually do a lot of good to build a wider road in the middle that's not connected to anything. So we do believe that the phasing program that we have developed is the best for the project. I understand what you're saying, though.
Okay. Thank you. All right, we're getting to the last 2 questions. Phil is wondering about trees. Will there be a plan to plant trees on either side to limit car noise for the housing?
There will be street trees through here. And I'm not sure how much noise benefit there would be for the street trees. We're not planning on doing noise walls or anything like that.
But there will be trees.
But there will be trees.
Okay. All right, and our final question is from David, who's asking about traffic control. Will there be any changes like control signals or additions? I'm not quite sure what additions means, but.
Well, there is not going to be any new signals. There will be improved signals, and there will be what's called intelligent transportation and activated signals that connects them to make the whole thing work better. So
Okay. So there will be some traffic signals and the like. But it sounds like we're too early to say exactly what that will be or where it'll be.
well, no, there will be no new traffic signals. Where the traffic signals are is where they're going to be in the future.
Okay.
We are going to have some technology that makes the signals work better and work coordinated with each other, which is called an activated signal project, signal type.
All right, thanks, Jack. And Alan noted, disappointed in the phasing. Sounds like people are really looking forward to sidewalks and getting the safety measures. So glad to hear that. But yes, thank you so much. And as we mentioned, I think that's it for our questions now. But wanted to put this up again so that everybody has the project website and the email addresses of Ross and Jack. Jack or Ross, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, just thanks everybody for coming out and showing interest in the project.
Yeah, those were some great.
We are, I just want to reiterate that we are very early in this process. We're going to be having at least one more workshop like this, probably two, and we're going to also be having a month-long open house on the web as well for when we have more details to share. And then we can start to talk to you about exactly what the roadway is going to look like, exactly what it's going to look like in front of your, if you happen to own property along here. So stay tuned.
Okay, and it looks like Scott has added the project website and email addresses so you can cut and paste, because you can't cut and paste from a PowerPoint slide, as everybody I'm sure knows. But thanks everybody for participating. Those are some great questions and poll answers, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much.